Hello, everyone. My name is Abby Sandbach. I'm the marketing manager here at DigiFabster. Welcome to today's webinar, DigiFabster 101. Before we get started, I wanted to just point out on the right-hand side of your screen, there is a panel with where you can type in questions. Please feel free to type in any questions at any time, and we will make sure that we answer and save time at the end to answer any questions. With that being said, I'm going to turn it over to our presenter today, Michael Stoy. Michael, go ahead, take it away.
Perfect, thank you. So again, this demo and webinar today, what we'll be focusing on is that initial trial of DigiFabster, what we recommend doing and what we recommend getting out of it. Inside DigiFabster, there are a lot of different fields that we can go over, but we want to try and make this as simple and guide you through setting up if you are trialing and looking to DigiFabster for that first time. The first thing you notice when you log in is we have a startup to help walk you through setting up your first machine. So let's set up a machine together. So what we can do is we can first choose our technology. In this case, we can choose 3D printing. Now we'll automatically be prompted to choose from a technology list. And in this case, we can choose FDM, and then we can select the printer type. We have a list of common industry standard printers. But if we're using a custom printer, we can always create a custom printer ourselves. In this case, we can just use a Fortis. We'll automatically add in all of the information about the machine. But again, DigiFabster is very flexible and very customizable. So if we wanted to have only allow certain size parts per each machine, we can set that up with a maximum build volume size and a minimum part size as well. Next, we can quickly set up our pricing speed and our printing hours. So we can set it to be 150 millimeters per second. And we can say we're charging $40 per hour on machine. We can then also choose to go off geometry settings and along with lead times to set them up. For our initial trial though, I can ignore all of these and continue on to the next step. We have a list of also common materials for every single common printer on our list. So in this case, we can just choose Ultem. We can automatically add in notes, material spec sheets, and we can even get into the cost itself. The main thing that we highly recommend in that first initial setup is to work on the expected production time. And this just gives customers a better understanding of how long it should take parts to be manufactured. So typically this is 1 to 2 days over the lead time. You can also then choose to charge off the material itself. So inside of here, we can say something like 40 cents per gram of material. If we want to, we can also go into our material limits. And with our material limits, we can set a minimum wall thickness. And this will just highlight to customers that maybe this part is too thin. And because of this, maybe we'd recommend switching over to a different technology. We can also set up the level of support and along with the cost for support material. So if we're to use multi-material printing with a main material and a support material, we can account for that as well. We can also account for different layer thicknesses. So we can have 100 micron and we can even have different filling options as well. So let's have a 20% fill option as well. If we want to offer colors, we can support that as well. And finally, if we get to post-production and we want to offer post-production, we can offer that as well. In this case, let's say we were to offer sanding of models, we can choose to charge up multiple different metrics, including the model surface area, volume, bounding box, or just per part fee. So we could say something like 25 cents per square centimeter with a minimum price of $20 per model. Next, we can save, and this is where it differs from setting up a typical machine compared to our first startup machine. Inside the startup machine, we have a couple different models, and we're able to get the full cost breakdown and see exactly what's contributing to the cost live right here. So this is a great way to help configure your software and DigiFabster together to make your pricing as accurate as possible. So right here, we can see that our price per hour might be a little too high. So if we drop this down to $30, we can see how this affects the price in real time. We can cycle between multiple different models. And when we're happy with the prices that we are generating, all we need to do is click Finish Setup. And just like that, we've set up our first machine. So the first big step of DigiFabster is always setting up the machines. So now that we set up that first machine, we can go into the backend. We can always create more machines. To do this, we can go to Machines and Materials. And then all we need to do is click Create a New Printer, and we'll follow the exact same prompt that we showed previously. After we've started working on our machines and we have multiple machines and real models in our account as well, we can also test each different material through the price tweaking tool. So if you notice this gear right here, we can click this. And similar to what we've done previously, the big difference here is that we can upload any part that we want. So if we were to print this impeller, we can get the full cost breakdown of this. So it's a very powerful tool to help configure your pricing and to figure out if your pricing is where you're expecting it to be. Maybe we can see that our price per model volume is a little high, so we can drop it down and see how that affects the price in real time. Now that we have our prices that we're happy with, what I'd highly recommend doing is, since we are still trialing the software, we aren't ready to go live yet, is we can use the internal quotation tool. I know at DigiFabster we speak a lot about our automated quoting, and our automated quoting is a big benefit to majority of our shops who still have manual quoting inside of our system. This semi-automated solution allows shops to still quickly repeat price models, but we give shops the ability to override or modify pricing prior to allowing customers to see them. So I can quickly walk you through the internal quotation tool and the big takeaways with this. So with the internal quotation tool, we can add in a customer's information to add them into your database, or we can choose from a list of existing customers. I can choose myself in this case. At this next step, I can choose to upload new models, or I can choose from a library. So if it's a new customer, we'd obviously be uploading new models, but if it's a repeat customer with a repeat part, we can choose from the library. Inside the library, let's choose this part, and we can quote it. Inside DigiFabster, we can automatically orient the parts to their correct printing orientation. We can also select different technologies and see how this affects the prices and if it is printable in real time. When we're happy with our pricing, we can select the material that we want. So if we want regular plastic or this Ultem that we set up a little bit earlier, we can choose different layer thicknesses and infill percentages as well. And if we wanted to, we can have the part sanded or polished as well. Next, we can add the part to our cart. And when we proceed to the cart, the big advantage of the internal quotation tool is we can add additional services. So let's say we've been talking to this customer and we know that we want this part to be hand polished. And if this is something that we don't want to automate, we can always come in and create an additional service, and this will appear directly on the invoice. So we can hand polish this part for a $100 cost. So it allows shops to be a lot more flexible and add other services that may not be able to be automated or might not be at the stage where they're automated yet. Continuing on to the next step, we can handle delivery information. So what will happen is customers will add in their address, and we would add in the customer's address in this case. We'll automatically determine shipping rates for multiple different providers. This includes UPS, USPS, FedEx, DHL, and more. Or we could always choose a local pickup option as well. Continue on to the summary. We can add any promo codes if we wanted to give those to the end users. We can have any notes about the order. So if we knew that there's a critical phase or anything about the model, we can support that as well. If we want to, we can also add any additional files that the customer has given us. So this way we can keep all of our files in one place and keep them together throughout the entire order. If we were to use a purchase order, we can enable this. And then what we can do is we can quickly review the quote. On the quote itself, we have a picture of the part, model name, material specifications, and we can see the full breakdown of cost and pricing as well. When we're happy with this, and if we're ready to send this out to the customer, all we need to do is click Send Offer. Just like that, the customer has an email in their inbox with the quote along with payment instructions and how to proceed if they choose to. So this is the easiest way to, once we have our pricing algorithm, we can test it. If we aren't happy with the pricing, we can always modify it, or we can even modify the pricing algorithm if maybe we haven't fully dialed it in yet. Once we have the internal quotation tool working, we still have the benefit of all the file management inside DigiFabster. So if we go back into our backend and we go to the orders, we can keep track of this most recent order that we just sent out to the customer. Inside the backend, we have a lot of different tools to help shops be a lot more efficient. So the first one is we're able to view the part. And if we needed to do some more fine tuning of pricing, we can always go in and manually override the price. So if we wanted to, we could set this to $40 and give them a slight discount. And our post-production could also be $40. We also have the ability to, besides just modifying prices, we can always add additional services right here. So if after discussing with the customer, we decide to add even more services, we we can support that as well. And we can also change startup cost, tax rate, and final price overall. Inside the internal quotation tool, we also have tools for the shops to help better manage the orders overall. The first one that we have is a packing list, which lots of shops also use as travelers. Inside the packing list, we have pictures of the parts, the model name, material specifications, but we'll also have is post-production. So in this case, we have sanding for this part. We can also show the lead time, quantity, and we can have multiple different checks. This can include a visual check, dimensional check, or other checks that the shop has for QA, part of the part leaving the shop. It's a great way to allow customers to know exactly what's going on with the part prior to leaving the shop. We can also quickly regenerate the invoice or resend the bill to the customer if we lose it. Quickly download the models, and we can also repeat the order. So if the customer comes back in 6 months needing the same order, we can repeat that as well. The biggest benefit that we have is our statuses. With our statuses, we allow shops to keep track of orders along with end users. So if we go up here to change statuses, when a customer does pay, the payment status will automatically be updated from unpaid to paid. We also have order statuses, and with our order statuses, what happens is whenever the order status of the part has changed, we can also notify the customer. So in this case, let's say our part is currently being manufactured. We update the status, and we just send an email to myself letting them know that the part's currently being manufactured. So it's a great way for not only you to keep track of parts, but customers as well. If we go back to the order page itself, we can even organize and sort orders based on the status, so we can see what is not finished, what is finished, what has been delivered, what is on hold. We can also help filter orders depending on date, price, or any status as well. So this is better leverage and better tools for customers to be, or for shops to be able to keep track of customers' orders and to let customers know exactly what's going on with their part. Once we have the internal quotation tool and the workflow down, a lot of our shops start going over to the e-commerce widget. The e-commerce widget is very simple to install. We can quickly show this off here. So to install the widget, it's as simple as copying one line of code. The widget itself can be embedded on any website that you own, and the widget itself is also fully customizable. We highly recommend shops go and customize their widget, and it can quickly show you what a customized widget will look like. The widget itself is fully customizable with CSS. So if we want to change the colors, logos, branding, or anything else about the widget, it's fully customizable. I highly recommend changing the widget colors, so this way it'll fit better in with your website, and it'll look like it was a built-in solution and be even more professional for your end users. If we want to take the widget up an additional level, we also have the ability to have the widget hosted on a subdomain of yours. So this way, even if a customer is trying to inspect element or find any links to who is hosting the widget, they won't be able to find it. This also makes it a first-party cookies issue as well, if you're worried about that. So now that we have the widget installed on our website, I can quickly walk through this. The widget itself is very similar to the internal quotation tool, just doesn't allow customers to manually modify the price at all. So again, we can choose from our model list, and we can choose this part. Going in, we can view the part itself, and we can, let's choose milling in this case. We're able to see the full cost breakdown. We can then also choose if we wanted holes, threaded, tapped, or even a priority. Continuing on to the next step, we can proceed to cart, view all the parts in the cart, and we can even have discounts automatically apply to end users. So in this case, if the customer is ordering parts in bulk, we can automatically set up a batch discount to prorate the rate as the customer is ordering more and more parts. Continuing on to the next step again is delivery. And then again, we have the summary page where customers can add additional notes, additional files, and purchase with purchase orders. One of the big differences between the internal quotation tool and the e-commerce widget is we also have the ability to hold orders inside of the e-commerce widget. So this allows shops to have a more high-touch sales approach with larger customers. So in this case, we can say any order over a certain amount will automatically be held for review. And this is a great workflow that I'd recommend for any shop starting out. So what we can do is have our orders pending review. And this way we're able to still have eyes on every single order that is placed. Over time, when we're feeling more comfortable with our pricing algorithms, what we can do is we can start to discount and change the change the value for the manual review. So we can start off by holding all orders for manual review. Then typically I recommend at the final step making it so around the top 5% of your orders are held for manual review. The big benefit of this is that we can automate all of the small orders while still allowing for high touch sales with larger customers and larger orders. Once we have the e-commerce widget fully set up and fully working though, we should be able to fully automate the quoting solution of DigiFabster. I know I walked through that the whole workflow relatively quickly. Are there any questions anyone has about a specific step along the process? I'll let you start typing questions if you have any now. In the meantime, I'll just circle back about some more other benefits of maybe using some of the other tools in other ways. So now that even if we have our e-commerce widget fully online and allowing customers to order online, we still have the internal quotation tool. And a lot of shops we found don't leverage this to the full potential. So if our shop is a brick and mortar store and we allow customers to come in, a big benefit is allowing customers to use the internal quotation tool so they can place orders right in front of you. You can guide them through selecting what's the right material or technology for their parts. And it's a very beneficial tool to allow customers to fully leverage and fully get guided through how to set up and choose the right technology for their machine. I highly recommend always using the internal quotation tool and always allowing customers to email parts or send parts directly over in another way. E-commerce is typically more efficient, but still a great way to allow for some customers who need more of a hand-holding approach to be able to reach out as well. This also allows shops to be more personal with customers. And with this more personal approach, we have a better bond with the customers. We found that this increases the repeatability of that customer coming back. I'm not seeing any questions yet, so I'll continue also talking about some other of the big benefits of DigiFabster besides just the automated quoting. So a big one is the order management, and as we showed off earlier with the order tab itself, we can at a glance keep track of every order and see what's going on with the order. So it allows shops from a mile-wide view to see exactly what's going on with their order. If a shop is using an ERP solution, we can automatically make it so when an order has been updated in DigiFabster, it automatically updates the ERP. Or we could do it reverse where when an update happens in the ERP, it'll update DigiFabster. The benefit of this is through DigiFabster, we can still at a glance see where every order is, and we can even notify customers even if it's been updated through an ERP solution. The other big one that a lot of our larger shops have been leveraging is the travelers. So if we are printing, especially if we're printing on an MJF machine or another machine that prints in bulk parts, with the packing list at a glance, we can see a picture of the part, and we can see and keep track of which order this part is from and who is the customer. So it's a great way to allow shops to keep track of parts and customers as they're running through the production cycle. On top of this, all of these checks are also fully customizable. So if we head over to settings, and if we were to scroll down, we can see that we have our two checks as visual and dimensional right now. But if we're working off of an ISO standard or any other standard, it's also fully customizable. And with this, we can customize it to better fit your shop's needs and to allow customers to know all the quality assurance that the part has gone through prior to leaving the shop. The other big one that we've glossed over, but we haven't fully gone in depth about, is the email service. So with DigiFabster, we have the full ability to send emails to customers along the production cycle. So any update of a status can automatically trigger an email response, but if we want to also limit that, we have the full ability to do so. All emails also are fully customizable, and we can even have them come from an email domain that you own, again, as a white label service. On top of that, what we can also do is we can send out questionnaires to customers who decided to add parts to carts, but maybe not decide to check out. With this will happen in our abandoned cart section. So every single time a customer uploads a part to a cart but decides to not check out, we first send them a friendly reminder letting them know that they still have the parts in the cart. 24 hours afterwards, we'll send a questionnaire trying to determine why they said not check out. So maybe they need a little bit extra time to decide, or maybe the price was too high. So it's a great way to find out exactly what potential customer needs are so shops can see what is the target demographic, and maybe they can help position or rotate to fit those customer needs. The other option that we also discussed is the ability to help automate and better align when it comes to shipping of orders. So once customer does order and pay the order itself, we can also help the shop keep track of shipping options. So on the order itself, we have the ability to have a tracking number. So this way we can notify customers of what the tracking ID is for their order. On top of that, depending on how we have our DigiFabster set up, we can automatically quote shipping as well. So if we head over to the settings again, we can choose which shipping companies we want. So we have Canadian Post, UPS, FedEx, USPS, and DHL. On top of that, if we wanted to have a custom courier service, we can also support that as well. So what we can do is we can have a custom shipping option. We can name it whatever we want with additional notes, and we can even choose the shipping type, if it's international, domestic, city, or pickup, and pricing as well. So DigiFabster allows shops to fully automate the shipping and allows customers to better automate and select when they'll be receiving their parts. With that, I'm not seeing any more questions, but I'll open again the floor up to if you have any questions. Perfect. Well, it doesn't appear that there are any more questions, but if you do have questions in the meantime, feel free to reach out. On our site, we have an instant messenger. So inside of here, if you have any questions, you can send a message and you'll be able to reach out to myself, Peter, Alistair, or someone else in the technical team. Or you can always feel free to contact your DigiFabster representative either by phone or email. Thank you everyone for coming out to the webinar today. And if you have any questions at all, again, please feel free to reach out. We're only a message away. Look forward to speaking with you soon. Have a good day.